Welcome to the Couchboard podcast, where we naively talk about anything and everything for your listening pleasure. I am Jordan, and as always, I have with me Max and Colby. How you guys doing?
Woo woo! Great!
Oh.
Pop pop.
Nice. Was that a pop pop?
Yep.
Pop pop.
Magnitude.
So today we're going to be talking a little bit about the happiest place on earth. That's right, Disneyland.
I thought that was Waffle House.
You know, I've only been there maybe once, and
It's a close second.
it wasn't anything special. But before we do, let's jump into some Disney news. So apparently, Evel Knievel's son is suing the mouse, going after Walt Disney because he believes that Duke Kaboom from Toy Story 4 was too similar to his father, Evel Knievel. I guess there was a toy that was pretty much the same thing, where you set up on this little launcher and he just took off. So, pretty ridiculous. I think Duke Kaboom is probably the best part about Toy Story 4. Did you guys see it?
I agree.
Yeah.
I didn't really like Toy Story 4. Everyone
No.
seemed to really like it, and I wasn't a fan.
I didn't love it either.
But Duke Kaboom was great.
It was fantastic.
He was Canadian.
And, this lawsuit should be thrown out, even though I don't actually understand. I saw this headline yesterday, so I'm glad that you're talking about it. And I don't know. I don't know what the rules are here. I don't know what the law is, but it seems a little ridiculous.
It seems nitpicky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the on the surface of just hearing, "Oh, you're copying my dad's character," yeah, that doesn't sound like much. But if there was like a specific toy that launched a motorcycle man, Evel Knievel, and that's pretty much what Duke Kaboom is. I mean, I could kind of see that. They just made him Canadian. So, what if they are ripping off the Evel Knievel toy, and then to get around that, they just made it a Canadian version of the same toy? I mean, I think...
It seems...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it seems to me like Disney wouldn't have a problem with paying out some money to get an Evel Knievel toy if they wanted it to be an Evel Knievel toy, you know? I don't know that they would deliberately be like, oh, let's change this specific toy to something slightly different so we can use it without paying.
Yeah, I don't know. Pretty funny.
I always think it's weird, too. It's like, wouldn't you be, like, honored, like, by the homage? That's how I always think
I'd be honored with $100 million. That's how I'd be honored.
Like, if you're just doing it for the money, honestly, go for it. Like, I don't care. Disney has lots of money. Sure. But if you're, like, actually offended by it, it's kind of silly.
Speaking of money, it sounds like Mulan was a big hit for Disney. Did you guys catch Mulan?
A big hit?
I did not, but actually I was reading the opposite. I was reading that it didn't do super well, so that I'm
I
interested
heard it was
in
a
what you're going to
bust.
say now.
So that's yeah. I mean, I think nobody liked it. I mean, that's all I heard was it was mediocre at best. But someone broke it down. So Disney Plus sales spiked 68% over the Labor Day weekend compared to the previous weekend, and same thing happened with Hamilton. It had a big jump, 74% for Hamilton. But they're saying about 29% of the U.S. households purchased Mulan. So they have spent the $30 to get Mulan, a one-time purchase for Mulan, on their account. So Disney Plus has about 60 million subscribers. If you say even half of those are from the U.S., and then you take 30% of that, that's about 9 million viewers, or 9 million accounts, times $30. That's $270 million. And that's just pure cream, you know? You don't have to pay the theater companies to carry your movie or anything like that. So
That's kind of a bummer because I want them to get the message that that was a crappy movie.
yeah,
And if they made a lot of money on it, they're not going to get the message.
I know. So it said they had a budget of about $200 million. So, you know, you could say, sure, that's $70 million, but then there's some marketing and stuff built in there as well. But for not having to pay theaters and, you know, for basically bringing that in over a week, can't beat that. So,
yeah, it's probably not bad, but then you add in the bad publicity and all the stuff that came with it and the bad reviews. Maybe it's not worth it. So maybe they did get the message. I don't know.
I just want to know. What is this? Okay, so this came from the Motley Fool, Jeremy Bowman. How trustworthy is this guy? Are these numbers accurate? Because I thought I had read a headline that it was a bust.
Well, like everybody,
I saw several.
Like everybody, just like Netflix, they don't truly release all their numbers. So he was assuming that of the 60 million subscribers, half of those would be in the U.S. And so then he took a third of those that actually made the purchase.
He says, so yeah, I guess he's saying that the 29% figure comes from 7 Park data, which who knows what that is. So I don't know.
I mean, for an estimate, I would say they made their money back for the most part. But you're right. I mean, who knows what the publicity did for them. I just think they need to stop making these dang remakes. I haven't liked really any of them. So I don't know.
I haven't liked many of them. I think I liked Cinderella, and that was like
that's the only one I haven't seen. I think is Cinderella, and I think that was one of the first ones. But I've heard good
I think it was
about
the first. Yeah, it was definitely the best.
Huh.
When Disney Plus first came out, they did release Lady and the Tramp there, which
was that good?
Yeah, it wasn't
the
bad.
Spaghetti scene.
It was spot on.
Good.
It was good. No, I thought compared to the rest of these remakes I've seen, it was actually pretty well done because in the original movie it was we don't want to get into it, but it was good. It was good.
Well, speaking of remakes, I just saw. I don't see this. Well, hold on. Let me scroll down in your notes. Nope, you don't have this in here. All right, so I've got to fill in Jordan's sloppy journalism work, not finding these headlines. So apparently, I saw a headline today that they are making a sequel to 2019's The Lion King. So the Jon Favreau remake, they're making a sequel to that movie, but it's not going to be based on Simba's pride, as far as I can tell. And in fact, I was reading, I don't know if I like the sound of this, like it's going to be a venture into some of the origins of the characters, like a Mufasa's origins and stuff, and I don't really care. I don't need an origin story. I hate origin stories unless it starts at the beginning, but I hate getting into a story and then like, okay, well, hold on, let's rewind the clock 20 years and let's see what makes this character this character. I don't really care that much.
True, but I think any Lion King story that is not the original Lion King story would have been better than the remake that we got. I tried watching the remake of it and it was the exact same movie.
It's very
similar.
similar.
Felt weird.
Very similar.
So I just didn't bother finishing it, but I figure if you did the same real, animation, CGI, whatever it is they call it, but with a different story, it might have held my attention more because it's something new. With the one they produced, it was like, well, I've seen this.
That's a good question. I don't know, and that's such a tricky thing with remaking movies or video games. It's like how much do we stay close to the original versus how much do we want to reinvent it? And I think you raise a good point there, Jordan, that a lot of times as fans, we think we want the original, but in reality that's not actually what you want. You want them to do something different, make it their own.
Yep.
I agree with that. I hate this halfway in between. It's like, that didn't really work very well. We just copied it scene for scene. So let's do something original, but let's use all these same characters. It's like, let's just do one, let's just make a whole new movie. Let's just start a whole new idea. There's no shortage of good stories out there and good writers. Yeah. Let's just do a whole new story. Why do we have to keep doing these same characters that have been done well enough in the first animated movie? I don't know. So the halfway approach, I don't think ever does super well.
Yep.
Go all in for a new animated or lifelike animated movie with animals, or don't.
This seems to be an episode where we just pick apart all these
the business practices of Disney.
Well, no, I was just going to say the remakes.
No, that's true.
I think we've had this conversation already, and I'm trying to remember: is there a Disney remake movie that I really, really enjoyed? I can't think of one that comes to mind.
I didn't really like any of them.
Some of them, I mean, Jungle Book, I didn't mind. I know Jordan didn't like Jungle Book. It was fine, but
I don't know. It was just a. it's not memorable. We'll put it that way.
Apparently not, if you don't remember. There are no vultures in the new Jungle Book, if I'm not mistaken, which is that's a huge miss.
That ruins it. Well, yeah, we'll do an episode. I'll rewatch that maybe. We'll come back to that. But lastly, 2 things. Quote, we are ready to open and we are hoping we'll have guidance from the state soon. That is from Patrick Finnegan, California Adventure VP. And he, I guess Disney has been in talks with California local and state governments to try and reopen, to figure out a way that they can actually do that. So that just happened late last week. So they're pushing for it. So because Disneyland is the last of all the Disney parks to open. All the others are open. Let's see, that's World, Paris, a couple in China, but then Hong Kong
too.
Yeah. The Hong Kong one did open and then it closed due to COVID in June. So anyway, they need to reopen. And that rolls a spread. Oh, quick funny thing, sad thing. But I was reading an article about that, them wanting to reopen, and there's a spokesman, and he said something to the effect of, yeah, we're ready, we want to open, says Jeffrey Epstein. Like, oh man, that's it's not a great name to have.
Oh, that's his name. Yikes.
Yeah.
I'd change that name pretty quick.
Is there a Seinfeld episode where Elaine is dating a guy that has the same name as a serial killer or something?
Cal Rifkin.
Yeah.
That's right.
They call him out like at the baseball game. They're like, can you come to like the...
Yeah. She's like, he's not a serial killer. He's a nice guy.
Man, we cannot make it through 5 minutes of this podcast without finding a connection back to Seinfeld.
Yeah. As it should be.
As it should be. I agree.
All right. Well, let's roll into the topic. Let's get into Disneyland. So we'll be just talking about Disneyland and California Adventure in Anaheim, California. We'll probably touch on World another time and whatever other amusement parks we want. But for now, let's focus on Disneyland. And when I say Disneyland, I include California Adventure. I don't think they're distinctly all that different. But what makes Disneyland the happiest place on earth? What do you guys think?
Probably just the childlike nostalgia and whimsy when you were a kid and you had no idea how much money your parents were throwing into this little day trip.
Yeah. I mean, it does take you away from real life. That's for sure. In more ways than one. Obviously, there's characters walking around and everything, but just the way it's built, the old timiness of it definitely takes you out of the current world. That's for sure. Max, what do you think?
For me, it's not the happiest place on earth because I didn't grow up going to Disneyland. In fact, I never made it to Disneyland until I was probably 29 years old. So my parents never took me.
Same.
So it's a very interesting thing. I've been to Disneyland twice now, and I think it's great. I think it's fun, but it is what it is for me. And I think a lot of adults that continue to love Disneyland, like the word that Colby just threw out is nostalgia, and I just don't have that nostalgia for Disneyland. So I don't know. It'll be interesting going through this conversation today because I never really knew much about Disneyland growing up. Even as an adult, I didn't know much about it, and then I experienced it, and it wasn't really what I thought it would be. And that's both good and bad. Again, I really like it. I look forward to taking my daughters there. But yeah, I just I don't have like the same love for it as other people do.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, I grew up 45 minutes from Disneyland until I was like 8 years old, so we would go a lot. But I always thought people just were nostalgic about it because it's all like the Disney theme. It's like all the characters and themed stuff from the movies that you grew up watching. Even if you didn't grow up going to Disneyland, you still kind of recognize and appreciate that.
It's like you
can appreciate it. I just think if you grew up going there, you have and there's something about that experience you have there as a kid and the impression it makes on you for me, again, I enjoy it, and I like the environment, the atmosphere of it, minus just the sheer number of people that are there. But again, I think there's something really to be said about the impact that they make on kids and adults.
I think so.
Still like it.
It's different. It's obviously different from when you're a kid to when you're an adult. I never went when I was a kid. I was old and married before I had went to it before. So I'm kind of in that same boat, because my wife would talk about it all the time, like it was the coolest place in the world, and I was like, yeah, sure.
Same. Mine's the same way.
how could it be that fun, But now I've come to really appreciate it and love it myself. So, but going into that, you mentioned the crowd sizes. What do you think is the best time to go? Colby, maybe you have more experience with it. Are there any great times to go to beat the crowds, or just fun times? They do a lot of stuff around holidays. What do you think? Any thoughts there?
So traditionally, for my family, and when we lived close to it, we would never go when there were events, because that was like the worst times to ever go. So they do have lots of fun events. I've never been to any of them because those are the worst times to go. So anytime you can go, they have like whole websites dedicated to this that like track the flow of guests through Disneyland year over year. So you can find like the best days to go. And it's almost always at the most inconvenient times. So you have to like find a time that's inconvenient for most people when you can set aside time to go.
Like I hear, like the first couple weeks of school are, in September, always a good time to go, just because everyone, whether you like it or not, you got to get back into the grind, taking your kids to school and stuff. I haven't gone many times around holidays, but I did go one year around Halloween. And while it was ridiculously crowded and there's far too many Jack Skellington people walking around, it was really fun because you get to do trick-or-treating. Like they close the park early. You have to pay extra, I believe, for your ticket to do the trick-or-treating.
Of course you do.
But I know. But they close it down, and like every ride and plenty of stops in between, like there's people handing out candy, just like buckets of like huge buckets of candy. So if you like candy, you better go this time of year. But it's fun, and we went with kids when our kids were really getting into Disney and Halloween, and so it was fun for them to dress up in their Disney characters and get, go from ride to ride and get a ton of candy. So that was probably the best type of holiday we've been to. I couldn't imagine Christmas time being fun. I mean, they make everything wintry, but it's still just probably busy because everyone's on a break,
I was just going to say, even the inconvenient times, people know that that's the best time to go. So now it's all spread out, and there really is no good time to go.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I went during Halloween last year, and I thought it was awesome. I thought it was really fun. Nice. I like the little spin that they put on the park. It wasn't too much, wasn't too little. It just, and again, it probably wasn't the craziest time of the year to be there. So, but that is kind of fun to go to Disneyland and just see the different spins that they put on the park, depending on the time of year. It just makes it fresh a little more.
Quick sidetrack. There's a cool show, I forget what it's called, on Disney Plus about all the people that make the park, how they decorate it and stuff. Pretty cool to watch them roll out all the decorations each year. Those Mickey Mouse pumpkins and stuff in the front. And
that's cool.
There's
so many things I can't even remember, but that's a great example of the pumpkins and stuff that they have out there. I'm sure it's a labor of love and just a ton of work to do that.
Yep, for sure. So my next question is based around like food stuff, but when you've gone, do you bring in your own food, or do you get stuff from the park, from all the stands and restaurants and stuff?
I've only gone as an adult, but we always just buy food in the parks.
Any favorites?
What are the Dole Whips? Is that what they're called?
Dole Whip, yeah. Super good.
What else? They have, why am I blanking on what they're called? New Orleans, they make them beignets. I think they have.
The beignets
are good.
Delicious.
Emily, my wife, likes to get the turkey leg. I have not done that.
That's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, that is pretty hardcore. But yeah, Those are probably the only two things that really stick out in my memory. I haven't tried everything there, but actually, I had soup in a bread bowl. When I was there last time. That was pretty good. So I don't know. I've had a bunch of random food, nothing to write home about.
Yep.
But the Dole Whips are definitely worth every penny, and beignets are always a treat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, we'd go with my parents. They were super stingy, so we didn't really buy a lot of food in the park. We'd just get a lunch or whatever. But when I've gone when I'm older, I always get treats that I shouldn't get. And so, I mean, the Dole Whip is the highlight for me as well. And then anytime I can get a churro, I get a churro. So,
Yep.
Churros
are good.
I had churros last time. So good.
Oh, yeah. It is nice of Disney. They don't have to let you, but it's nice that they let you bring whatever you want in food-wise, So, if you do choose to just make a sleeve of peanut butter and jellies, well, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But no one would do that because that's a stupid idea.
You shut your mouth about peanut butter and jellies.
Reference the sandwich episode.
Yeah, go back in and listen to that if you're confused.
Yeah. Dole Whips, gotta echo that because, it's unique. There's frozen yogurt stuff everywhere, but that's definitely a unique taste. Churros, yeah. What else? The caramel apples are good.
I've not had a caramel apple. Where are those at?
Those are actually. I'm sure they're in the park, but they're definitely in the bakery just at the start of like downtown Disney. There's like a giant bakery thing with a bunch of treats. There.
I had. Sorry to interrupt. Blue milk, from Star Wars. I had that last time I was there.
Yeah.
Some people were saying it's not very good. I thought it was fine. But it was just more the feeling of drinking the blue milk from Tatooine that they're drinking at the beginning of episode 4 that made me feel good.
Yep. I haven't been to Star Wars. So
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you been, Colby? Have you seen what did they I forget what it's called.
Star Wars Land? Yeah, no, I haven't been since that's been built.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I do have something to contribute to this episode then.
There you go. Good restaurant. Most of the restaurants, they got to do what they have to do because they're serving thousands of people. So, you can't have a huge variety to them, to your food. But Blue Bayou, one of the more expensive restaurants, but they definitely do a good job of having some good food. Nice, steak, seafood, whatever you want. But then I think during lunch they have what's a sandwich? Monte Cristo.
Oh,
that's a good one. Those are good sandwiches. And off the beignets, the mint julep drinks over there are fantastic. Always good. Alrighty. Next up, what about any favorite rides you guys like to go on?
Hands down, best ride ever, Star Tours. No question.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Next.
I remember as a kid, just like we would go through Star Tours and we'd run around and immediately get back in line again.
Yeah.
And go on Star Tours as many times as we can. And the line was like just as good as the ride because freaking C-3PO's moving around and talking to you while you're in line. It was amazing.
Yep.
So lifelike.
Yep.
Is Star Tours the one that's the roller coaster in the dark? Is that the one
No, that's Space Mountain.
Oh, okay.
Star Tours is the one where you're like in the movie
ship?
theater,
Yeah.
essentially, ship with the screen, but the chairs move and
droid.
stuff.
That one's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think I like Space
Yeah.
Mountain more than that one though, but they changed the name to Space Mountain because that one's Star Wars themed now too. But that one's really fun.
Yeah.
Space Mountain's good. I really like the Toy Story and Buzz Lightyear rides. The ones where they're like
Where you
arcade
shoot.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are
They're
fun. My kids love those.
Yeah, especially with kids, it's fun. Yeah, again, you're interacting with the characters, and that's what makes it cool.
I've always loved Tower of Terror. That's always been a favorite of mine. But then that one they've changed to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Marvel themed ones now?
Yeah, which I was a little annoyed with. I was pretty annoyed with it. But then I went and experienced the Guardians of the Galaxy ride last time I was there, and I gotta say they did a really good job reimagining that one with Guardian. It was hilarious with an awesome soundtrack going, of course, because it's Guardians of the Galaxy. So that one's really good. Another really good one is the Cars ride. Have you guys done that one?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty. You could go on pretty fast in that car.
Yeah. It's not like a roller coaster,
No.
but you're zipping around, in the cars, and kids love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's fun.
Yeah, I also love Space Mountain, which is super fun. It's not as good as Star Tours, but the black lights and the fast roller coaster is pretty fun.
What's the water one where you're in like
Splash Mountain?
Splash Mountain, that's a great one, of course. It's a classic.
Yeah, that little dip, right? That you're in the dark in the tunnel, and you're expecting just to ride along nicely till you get to the big fall, but then there's that small dip that takes you by surprise. Yep,
they redid that. No more woodland creatures.
Yep.
The new Incredibles coaster is pretty good. Used to be the...
Oh, yeah. I did do that. That one's pretty good, yeah.
Forget what it's
called.
What
it used to be?
It used to be the... Not Sky Coaster. No, it was the one with Mickey's face on the loop.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What was it called? Yeah, it's a good one. Probably the most adventurous ride. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's
good
fun.
stuff.
Was that Screamin' or Screamer? I forget what that... Right.
Yeah, California Screamer. I think that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my brother's never been to Disneyland, but he always kind of scoffs at it and says, why don't you just go to Six Flags or something? Because there's actual roller coasters there, right? And I get that, but again, it just goes back to the kind of the atmosphere, right? Of the parks. It's not so much the thrills of the rides necessarily, but it's about putting you into the atmosphere of the movies and enjoying that with your kids.
Yeah, it's a little bit of like thrill seeking mixed with some like live action role play. That kind of makes it fun. And like those like Space Mountain, Star Tours, the Incredibles roller coaster, Tower of Terror, whatever, those ones are super fun because they're really intensive and dynamic. But then I also like super enjoy Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh yeah, that's favorites. A fun one.
Yeah,
I love Pirates of the Caribbean. I love the Peter Pan ride where you're in the ship flying over Neverland.
Huh.
Some super fun ones.
Yeah, good luck getting on the Peter Pan one. That one's super long line.
Indiana Jones, that's another favorite of mine.
There you go.
Indiana Jones is a great one. I love that one.
Even like Ariel's ride is again fun with kids. It's you can always get on that ride in like 10 minutes tops, which is nice, and it's fun.
What's the one with the Yeti? I love that one. The Matterhorn?
Oh yeah,
Matterhorn. Matterhorn's good.
But Jordan, you hit the nail on the head, and I think that was something my wife did a really good job of like preparing me for when I went to Disneyland for my first time. Like, this is not like your Six Flags. It's very different, where you're stepping into little worlds, and it's all about the atmosphere versus the thrills. And again, there's some really fun rides, but that was a little hard for me to wrap my mind around at first. But I think if you know that going into it and want to get sucked into these little atmospheres that they create at the park, then you'll have a good time. But if you're there only looking for a Six Flags adrenaline rush type experience, you're definitely going to be disappointed.
Yeah,
for sure. Because I mean, they really only have like 4 roller coasters,
right?
Yeah.
I forget what it's called. Soarin' was what it was used to be called.
Soaring over California. That was a good one.
Oh yeah, that was
fun.
I did that one this last time. I thought that was really, again, and this
Clever.
is where I tip my hat to Disneyland. Is there's a huge variety in the rides, and they're very different from each other. Even whatever the one is in California Adventure where you're going down a river in a big old boat. I don't know. There's just like every kind of ride you could want. Very family friendly in that sense.
Yeah, there's something for everybody, definitely. Yeah. Which is really fun. I miss some of the really old ones. The Swiss Family Robinson treehouse, I think, is like Tarzan themed now or something.
Yeah, it's
like the same thing though. It's just a giant treehouse that you get to climb around and explore. That was pretty fun.
But it's not. It's nice that and the Brother Bear one over in California Adventure. Just a nice jungle gym,
Yeah.
Just to get the kids to work off some energy and have some fun playing around.
Captain EO. Did any of you guys go?
Oh, yeah.
When Captain EO was around?
Yeah, you probably missed it, Max. Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a great one. Favorite. I loved Captain EO.
Michael Jackson. Good stuff.
You can find the video on YouTube, Max. Look it up and watch the Captain EO movie. It's awesome.
Well worth it.
No conversation about Disneyland rides is complete without discussing teacups.
I love the teacups. Teacups are great.
I hate the teacups.
The teacups are
You hate
awful.
the teacups?
I like them.
I get dizzy.
It's not...
No, they're fun.
Yeah.
They're good, but I mean, all those rides in Fantasyland, they're silly, but again, just fun to be injected into those movies, you know. Anyway, we could go on. About the rides, but maybe you do, maybe you don't. But do either of you have any little secrets or tips for new travelers or experienced travelers? What do you think? Anything that you have come across?
I don't. When I go to Disneyland, I'm kind of, my wife is on autopilot. She runs all the logistics. I just follow her around the park, which actually I kind of appreciate because I don't know the park. I don't know where things are. So, again, she's always got a fast pass queued up, and we're plotting things out. But I really don't have any advice here.
My wife is the George Costanza of Disneyland. She knows where every bathroom is, no matter where you're at.
Does she have them ranked as far as which ones are the good ones and which ones are the bad ones?
I'm sure she could. She could if you asked. Yeah. Oh, speaking of, she'd probably put the mother stations. Those are probably the best bathrooms.
As I say, the only tip I can think of is like just eat at irregular times. So like when the lines, like for the ride that the lines are the longest, like go during lunch when everybody's like getting food and stuff.
That is smart.
That's the only thing I think of.
11:30 comes around, all of the cafes and everything they're packed, you know. So yeah, that's a good tip. With you when you have kids, Max, have you gone with kids?
No, in fact, I was going to ask you guys about that, which is better. So I went my first time just with my wife, and then last October I went with my wife and then two of her siblings and their spouses, no kids at all. So we were just 6 adults roaming the park, and I mean, we just had a blast that day.
Yeah.
And so again, as an adult, even without the nostalgia factor, still had a super enjoyable time. I can totally see also how it's fun to, you know, watch the magic light up in your kids' eyes as they experience Disneyland. But I'm wondering which is more enjoyable, dragging your kids around and maybe doing some more of the kiddie rides and guiding them through the experience, or is it more fun just to do what you want to do?
It's definitely, I mean, they both have their perks, that's for sure. It's a joy to see your kids, you know, just light up when they see their favorite, you know, characters walking by and get pictures with them and stuff. And like, and the rides that are, you know, age appropriate for them, like it's perfect. Like, cause normally most places, you know, you go to Six Flags. Yeah. It's hard to take young kids to something like that. But here, you know, most of the rides are kid friendly. So it's great just to be able to experience that and have them just think it's a real life. You know, they're like really thinking they just saw Woody walk by and stuff, and it's pretty cool. Yeah. But when you're on your own as an adult, yeah, you can cover a lot more ground a lot faster, and you know, it's fun both ways.
Yeah, I haven't taken my kids to Disneyland. I've taken them to Disney World, so some of the rides are different or whatever. But the pace was so much slower than I'm used to, and like I'm usually like go from thing to thing to thing to get as much in as possible. But it was still really fun, and like my kids, like we've been to Lagoon with them several times, but they'd never really gone to a big theme park. When we took them to Lagoon, they were always scared of everything, and they were just getting to the age where like they would actually have fun on rides and stuff. So it was a lot of fun to just do things with them and see how excited they were by little things. And like the Dumbo ride where you can control it when you go up and down, that's like the coolest thing in the world to them.
Yeah.
And it was super fun. It's different, but it's super fun still. I don't know which would be better. I think it kind of depends on what you're looking to get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My best kept secret for Disneyland is Toontown. Little hidden gem. It opens later than the rest of the park. It opens at 9, I think, whereas the park either opens at 7 or 8, depending on the day. And you run up there and you wait at a chain, and then Mickey and Minnie come and greet you. So like they walk you and your kids back under the little tunnel, and there's some fun rides over there. But the Go Gadget, I forget what it's called, the Go Coaster or whatever, the Goofy's Go Coaster. That's a really, really intense roller coaster for kids. But it's super fun. But Mickey and Minnie will lead you to their houses, and you can take pictures with them back there. and not many people care for it. So, I mean, I imagine Disney has plans for the real estate, but it's fun because you go back there with your kids and they get to sit on Mickey's lap, take a picture, shake his hand, all that. And it's really good for young kids because there is not that giant crowd. I mean, there's obviously people there, but nothing like the rest of Disneyland. So that's my favorite. And with kids, we'll get into this a little bit more, but you got to be sure to get a baby pass. Those are always super helpful when you do want to do the big kids rides. We'll get into that. We'll come back. Okay. When I say Disneyland, I do mean Disneyland and California Adventure. I know some people are adamant about they're separate, they're different.
To me, they're
I don't
not,
really care,
but I'm also not.
Yeah,
I haven't been around the whole time, but I just think of them as one thing.
Yep. So, but between the two, what are your favorites, or which is your favorite?
I mean, I grew up with classic Disneyland, so that's definitely my favorite.
I think I like Disneyland a little bit more too. I mean, but again, I think you can't skip California Adventure completely. There's tons of good stuff there too. But I think Disneyland has a little bit of an edge. Although I'm trying to remember the new Star Wars land, which side of the park that one was on.
Disney.
It's on Disneyland.
Side. Disney.
Yeah.
Behind
everything.
Riding on the west.
My favorite part of Star Wars Land was actually they have a full-on cantina in there. So, and I think they're serving, I'm 99% sure they serve actual alcohol in that cantina, which is surprising.
There's a few places that will do it.
Yeah.
California Adventure, there's a big place back in the corner by Monsters that does it.
Huh. Well, I know that was like a thing when they opened up the Disney World or Disneyland in France. I think Disney was super against serving alcohol at the park, but that was just like culturally weird to not have wine or beer at the park. So eventually they relented and started serving it. Yeah. But anyways, I just thought that was interesting. But walking into the cantina, it does feel like you're Luke Skywalker walking in with Obi-Wan, Han Solo. Yeah. I don't know, just it had a cool vibe in there. So it is what it is. Star Wars Land, it's not, I wouldn't say it's like the most amazing thing ever, and they could only make it so big, but that was one element of it that I think they really nailed.
I think there's plenty of good things about California Adventure. One thing that does come to mind is along that main street when you kind of walk in, there's like a theater they put on these like Disney Channel shows for the kids and stuff. So that's a really fun one where you can kind of take a break and take a nap, but the kids get to play with bubbles and dance and stuff. That one's fun. So there's plenty of like highlights to California Adventure, but yeah, I think Disneyland is probably the better of the two.
Yep, I agree. But again, if California Adventure were a standalone park, it would still be amazing and awesome and totally worth the price of admission.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree. Sure. All right. Colby, did you have something?
Nope, I completely agree. Ditto.
You better. All right. So how about logistics? So when you go, where do you like to stay? How do you like to stay? Hotels, Airbnbs, Disney hotels? What do you think? Thoughts?
Last time we were there, again, there were 6 of us adults, so we crashed an Airbnb. That made the most sense. And then I think the first time we just stayed at a different hotel. I've never stayed at a Disney hotel. I would love to. I've heard good things about them. I don't actually know anything about them, if they are nice or not. But yeah, we did an Airbnb last time, and it wasn't bad. We had to make a little bit of a trek and to get into the park, but all in all, it worked out well. And it was inexpensive.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah, we never, my family never really went just to go to Disneyland. We would just do everything that we used to do when we lived there. And so usually we'd spend a couple days at the beach too and go, eat places that we used to eat and stuff. And so we usually stay away from the park and then drive into the park, which I think was fine. You got to plan your day accordingly because it takes a while to get anywhere in the city there. So, but I always thought that was fun and fine. We'd find a cheap place to stay, usually like a Fairfield or something.
Yep. I guess I've done it a couple different ways. Airbnbs are convenient, that's for sure. Usually cheaper. You get your own little kitchen and stuff, but pretty much you're gonna walk, an extra mile and a half at least, I feel like, to get back to your house. And at the end of a day, that is tiring, especially when you've got sleeping kids on your shoulders, pushing their strollers, all that, so that's fine. But we were able to stay in I forget which hotel, one of the Disney hotels, not the Country Bear one. I don't know what you call that one, but the one of the Disney hotels, and they're fun because they're like, again, sort of interactive and they're Disney themed and stuff. But the best part about it is you get to get into the park an hour early each day, so that makes it worth it. Like, obviously you're on premises there and it's more expensive, but that extra hour when your kids are up and ready to go and like super excited and you have most of the park to yourselves, like, that's hard to beat. That's pretty awesome.
I didn't know that. That's good to know. And that sounds like it would be worth some extra cash to have that hour.
It is, because within an hour or two, you pretty much hit all the cool rides that you usually have to wait hours in line for, and then you can kind of have a casual lunch, even go. It's convenient enough you can go back to the hotel, have the kids take a nap if they need, and then, casually go back out the rest of the day. So definitely suggest that. But I mean, a nearby hotel, it's not bad either. Many ways to do it, but that extra hour, whew, fantastic. Any one thing that you've never done at Disney, but you've always wanted to?
Everything's better at Disneyland. So I'd like to spit off the top of the Matterhorn. I'd like to slap somebody. I don't know, start a fire.
No.
Colby's officially going to be on their list of do not admit. He's not allowed to come back into the park after that statement.
He's been flagged.
Yeah.
I want to slap. Let me clarify. I want to slap one of the characters.
Okay.
Preferably Gaston.
Gaston would be
He's
a good
pretty
one
funny
to mess with. I have no idea. I feel like I've done most things that I would want to do there. So
yeah, it's hard. I mean, the one thing that I've always wanted to do, but I know would take like 2 hours out of my day, is, how you can get like those canoes and ride and paddle them around that river by who's his boat? What's his name? Tom Sawyer. You can get your canoe and ride over to that island and do stuff. It seems fun, but it also seems like, man, I don't think I want to take that much time. Anyway, I guess we've done it all. Great job, guys. Lastly, last one is that it's relatively new, is the Max Pass. Definitely recommend that.
What's that?
It's like you pay a premium, of course, but it works alongside like the app, the Disney app on your phone, and like you can book fast passes from across the park. Like, you don't have to go to the ticket thing.
We did that last time we were there. Yeah, that is a very efficient, very helpful.
Yep, and you get all the photos. If you're taking pictures, and the little workers will just scan your phone. Yep, and your photos show up right away. Very convenient. Yep, just help you experience it all the better.
I forgot to say, one thing that should be experienced at the new Star Wars land is there's a ride where you're flying the Millennium Falcon, and there would be 6 of you. And there's like 2 engineers, 2 gunners, and 2 pilots. And I gotta tell you, first, like, you're flying around being chased by TIE fighters and stuff, and then you kind of escape from them, and then you gotta make the jump to light speed. I gotta tell you, pulling down that handle and then making the jump to light speed is one of the most satisfying things I've experienced in my life. Because
I bet
you've seen it so many times in the movie, and then to actually do it yourself
and everything,
it felt right. It felt, and they must have taken a lot of care into just designing that handle, because it just felt perfect. The resistance, the way it felt in I loved it. So
punch it, Chewie.
I definitely recommend doing that ride.
I would have a hard time doing that, because it's like, I'm pilot or I'm nothing.
No, and that was the thing.
I'm not going if I'm the engineer.
I was a gun. What was it? No, I was an engineer the first time I did it. I can't remember, and it's a long wait, and I can't remember how we coerce them into letting us be pilots. Maybe you can wait like in an extra long line to be the pilot. That was the last ride we did that was at late at night, and so I think it wasn't too bad of a wait, but totally worth it to do that.
Yeah.
But when I was the engineer, some guy was the pilot who's clearly never played a video game before and was just crashing into everything, and it was just cringy. Let's just
oh man,
end this mission. I can't help you. I should be flying, and you should be the engineer.
It should be me in that seat.
Oh man, good stuff. Well, I think we could go on for another hour. One way or another, but I think we'll wrap it up there with Disney talk. Unless you have any other thoughts.
No,
just plan your next vacation a ways out, because I'm sure there's a lot of people whose trips got backed up recently.
Yeah, well, we got to open the parks first.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when that happens.
For sure. Well, let's quickly jump into our next segment, our next new segment. What are we going to call this segment?
What's happening?
What's happening? What have you guys been up to? Anything exciting? Movies, TV, etc.
Well, the nerdy stuff that I always talk about that no one cares about. Rhythm of War, Brandon Sanderson's new Stormlight Archive book. He's released chapters serially. So every week for a couple months, he's released a chapter. So I started reading those. It's pretty fun. The book comes out mid-November. Yeah. The book comes out mid-November, but he's got like 12 chapters already out now that you can just read for free. So
that's cool.
Wow.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Check it out. Tor.com. TOR.com is the publisher where you can find it.
Max?
I finished Ghost of Tsushima this weekend, so it took me a while to plow through it. Can I spoil it for you guys?
Sure.
Spoilers for all our listeners. So yeah, you've heard me talk about like in the game, like you're fighting off a Mongol invasion, and the main character kind of abandons some of the tenets of the samurai code and is, embraces killing people stealthily and like using poison and stuff like that. Anyways, it was always kind of a cool theme in the game, but I was surprised. It kind of took me by surprise at the end of the game. The last boss is your uncle, who's kind of like your father figure. You're an orphan, but your uncle is the last boss of the game, because the Shogun says, yeah, you gotta take down this guy who's basically doing all this dishonorable stuff. So anyways, yeah, that was
clever
fun.
Twist on the end there.
Yeah, it made it feel, up to that point, like, again, I thought the theme was interesting. I thought the tension was wonderful. But then I thought that they really nailed it with making it a little bit more personal. And then once you beat your uncle, he wants you to kill him, so you can move back to like having honor again. So you have a choice of whether or not you kill him. I didn't do it. I could never. I always want to be like a villain or kind of like bad in video games. I could just never bring myself to do it. So I spared his life. I let him live. You're welcome, Uncle.
Pansy.
Ridiculous. He disgraced you.
Yeah. Where is your honor, dirtbag?
Yeah, I have no honor. So anyway,
Dishonor on you.
Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your cow.
Dishonor on your cow.
And then the other thing, my other accomplishment that was actually an accomplishment was I made challah bread over the weekend. So for anyone who's not familiar, it's Jewish braided bread. I did a 6 braid loaf, and it was super fun. It turned out really, really well. Highly recommend anyone who's likes bread at all to try doing a braided loaf. It's pretty interesting, pretty fun to do. But I had to be watching a video the entire time I was doing the braids, because I've never braided anything in my life before. So now I'm going to be able to braid my daughter's hair.
There you go.
Nice.
Very cool. I got back into some classics. I watched Big Trouble in Little China.
That's a great movie.
I don't think I've seen it.
Which was it was the first time I'd seen it, and man, it was ridiculous.
You got to watch it, Max.
It's so funny.
Kurt Russell at his finest.
Oh, it's Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Now I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Actually, all right, I'll check this out.
It's good. It's good. It's just throws you into like this bizarre story, and you're like, wait, what? And then like another level, another layer, and it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, it starts real fast.
It sure does. You're just driving along, and then wham, you're in big trouble in Little China.
Yep.
No, that's a good one. What else? Also, beef tenderloins were on sale at my local grocer, and I bought a nice tenderloin. And man, it's fantastic. You chop it up, you get 6-7 fillets out of it, and beef to grind and fat to.
When you say your local
do
grocery,
stuff
you make
with.
It sound like you went to like your neighborhood butcher shop or something, but I'm guessing you went to a supermarket. Just want to call you out on this.
Isn't that a local grocer? A grocery store? But I highly recommend it. I mean, it was like $50 and you get like a whole bunch of meat out of it. Very fun to do. So I made that up last night.
I forget, you've got
Nice,
the KitchenAid attachment to do that?
I do.
And it's metal?
It's metal.
Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
the plastic
Yep.
one, just like, how can we be grinding meat in this? All right, we've already had this conversation before. Just making sure it's with you.
Yeah. No, good stuff. Highly recommend. Yummy, tasty dinners.
Nice.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else exciting going on?
Donkey Kong Country 2 came out on the Switch over the weekend.
I saw that. I need to play it.
I've been playing it. That game is hard. It's much more challenging than the first one. I mean, it's not impossible. I'm almost done with it, but it's certainly
The first one was super easy.
super easy. This one, and the latest Donkey Kong Country games that they released for the Wii and the Wii U, those ones are quite challenging as well. And this will make you pull your hair out a few times, but super fun.
They're new games. They're not just remakes of the old
No,
ones.
this one is like the original Super Nintendo sequel to the original Donkey Kong Country. So,
but it's
nope, it's totally the same. Totally.
Oh,
Same they have a, I don't want to call it an emulator, but it's an emulator, a Super Nintendo emulator that Nintendo puts out, and they just regularly release new games onto the Switch every couple months or so. And yeah, Donkey Kong Country 2's out. It's a good one.
Pretty awesome.
Fun. Good stuff. Well, I think that about does it for us tonight. I hope you enjoyed everything about Disneyland that you could ever possibly want to know. And feel free to write in to the Couchboard at gmail.com. Tell us all of your tips and tricks for Disneyland when you go. And you go as an adult, with your kids, whatever. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Go subscribe on YouTube. We're all at the Couchboard. We're always putting up new content, great content every so often. And so definitely get out there and subscribe to the podcast. Tell all your friends to go subscribe to the Couchboard. You can find us on any of your podcast outlets that you normally get your podcast from. Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all of them. We're everywhere. So, that about does it. Thank you guys, and have a good night.
Pop.
See you guys.